Welcome to episode 16 of the Redcast. I'm Eric Lanin, host of the Redcast. Last episode, we discussed marketing content and how it can really drive value for your organization in the marketing and sales teams. In this episode, we're talking about marketing automation and how it can help solve many of the marketing and sales challenges that our marketers today face. All right, so today we have Vanessa Ruiz with us. She's a marketing automation consultant here at Redpath. So I wanted to bring her in the conversation about kind of getting her background first and then jumping into some specific topics.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. My name is Vanessa Ruiz. I'm a marketing automation consultant here at Redpath. And prior to joining Redpath, I worked for a national nonprofit organization called Teach for America. And there, I spent about half of my time on our national recruitment team using Salesforce to recruit college students across the U.S. To teach in low-income communities across the country. But then for about 3 years of that time, I was on our email marketing team. So I used Pardot, Salesforce's marketing automation tool, to build, send, and report on all of our national email campaigns. So everything from recruitment campaigns to fundraising, alumni and current teacher newsletters, things like that. But then I also served as the Pardot administrator to about 150 Pardot users across the organization.
Wow.
Yes, it was a lot. It was a lot. So I was kind of the primary support person there and figured out ways to optimize that marketing automation tool for a large nonprofit. So that brought me here. I really grew to enjoy using that tool and seeing how we could use it to further our goals.
Awesome. So it was also interesting to kind of talk about, it was a larger organization, but it's also a nonprofit using a kind of more of a traditional B2B marketing automation tool in a nonprofit context. And it's actually really cool to see, it had 100 users and using it for a lot of different purposes.
Yep.
So let's kind of break it down. So who is marketing automation really designed for?
Yeah, so I think an organization like my previous one is a good example where we had a really robust database of constituents and well-defined segments within that database. So, donors, alumni, prospects.
And these were all kind of captured and segmented in Salesforce.
Correct. Yep. And we had a lot of data about them. Again, very robust data. But as far as staff capacity went to, effectively, consistently reach out to those different segments in a way that was personalized and relevant to them, we didn't necessarily have that, the
Sure.
capacity part. So I think that marketing automation is a great solution or a great tool. I hesitate to say solution because, it really is a tool to help you carry out your strategy. But I think it's a great option for organizations or companies who are in that same boat, where you've got a lot of data, you've got a lot of constituents, a lot about them, but you just purely don't have the capacity or the resources to keep in touch with them and provide them valuable content in a consistent way.
Yeah, so it's really trying to scale what you're kind of doing right now, so no more manual one-off blasts. I mean, you can still do that, but the beauty of marketing automation is you put them in a journey, you develop your different segments, and they're dynamically and automatically segmented for you. So there's no kind of rerunning a report if you say, I need to send out these 3 communications to my new donor base that just joined this last year, or my new customers that recently bought a product. It's, doing that onboarding thing.
Yep.
So let's get into some of those different ideas of what are some of the ways that a lot of our audience can take advantage of marketing automation in just simple ways, the things that you would expect it to do very easily for you and save time.
Sure. Yeah, there's so many examples of kind of quick wins with marketing automation. To your point, I think the journey aspect is a big one. So a couple of examples that I've seen with clients are, cold prospects. So if you've got a big group of people in your database who haven't yet, become a customer or become a donor or taken action in some way, but they're still in your database, and you want to see if they could be a candidate for taking whatever action it is that you want. It's really easy in a marketing automation tool to set up some type of journey or program where you can send them a series of automated emails or different messages, different content that could compel them to take action over time in an automated way. But what it also could allow you to do is gain information about those people throughout the journey and see who's interacting with our marketing materials, who isn't, who might have some qualities that we look for in a potential customer or a potential donor, and really allow you to further segment your audiences based on how they're engaging with your content. So that's a big one there. I think that cold prospect audience. In terms of the nonprofit world, I think donor engagement is a huge quick win and a good use case for marketing automation, where maybe you've got a large group of donors and you only reach out to them, every quarter, once a quarter, or maybe even less than that when your fundraising campaigns come around. But you want to ideally maybe be reaching out to them on a more regular basis, keep your organization top of mind when it does come. And
give them the ability to kind of control what the frequency is, because there's ways to do that in Pardot.
Exactly. Yep. So it really gives your recipients flexibility in how they interact with your organization, while also keeping your organization top of mind when it does come time for those big fundraising, times, or your big, sales times of the year, things like that. Another quick win for using marketing automation is the ability to really personalize the recipient or constituent's relationship with your marketing materials. So, of course, when we think of personalization in email, I think we all think of the first, hi, first name, that personalizing of the greeting, which of course you can absolutely do in a marketing automation tool. But I think where marketing automation takes it a step further is that you can see the interactions that a person has had with your brand or your company, whether that's a product they purchased previously, a donation they made, a page that they visited on your website, and you can really tailor the content that you send them based on what they've already done, the interactions they've already had with your business or your organization. And so I think that really allows you to send them relevant content, based on what they care about and what they've shown you that they care about, that I think you just can't get with a more simplistic email marketing tool. So that's a huge quick win.
And that's the other thing to point out too, is marketing automation is more than just email marketing. It's
absolutely,
it's a suite of tools that connect to a lot of different channels. So you have your website, you have social, you have obviously email, you have some of the automation that goes in the background there.
Yep.
So all those kind of pull these resources and tools together to really derive that personalization.
Yep, it gives you a really holistic view of your constituents. Yep, that's a great distinction to make. And I think along with that too is the idea that you do begin to collect really actionable data about the people you're interacting with, whether that is through email or other marketing channels. So another big benefit of using marketing automation there. And then I think just to kind of round it out in general, when you're able to automate some of the marketing activities that you previously would have spent hours on, whether that's a more, batch and blast email, or, pulling a recipient list from your database, all of these things that really add up over time and take your focus away from maybe something more meaningful, kind of less,
totally.
less of a menial task. When you can automate those things, then you really free up your time and your brain to think about strategies and new ideas and forming relationships.
I can totally relate to that too. I mean, just having the ability to know that I have all of my other things figured out. It's not necessarily a total set and forget, but it's taking giving me peace of mind that I have things in place. It will alert me if things go not so right, but then I can focus on the next thing. And I think that's what a lot of organizations, for-profit and nonprofit, kind of run into. They're constantly at that tactical level, and until you have like a tool or a solution in place to really kind of hold those in place and allow you to say, okay, I'm comfortable leaving at this state and focus on the next thing. That's allowing you to build and grow as an organization.
Absolutely. And I think you brought up a good point too, that I think sometimes people look at a marketing automation tool and think, oh, this is, going to solve all of our problems immediately and we're going to be able to create all of these amazing journeys right out of the box.
It will, just not right away.
Exactly. It takes a clear strategy for, what you want to achieve, who your audience is, an audit of the content that you have, and maybe some content creation, depending on, what you've already got out there. And it does take that work and that time on the front end to be able to set up some of these more automated tools that you can kind of allow to run in the background and monitor, as you will. But I think that's a big key that I would caution everyone who's thinking about implementing a marketing automation tool to think about. You will need to invest time in coming up with a strategy, coming up with relevant, valuable content that you want to send out to your subscribers, and really spend ample time doing that before you're able to kind of set it and forget it.
Another one too is the data. So we talked about strategy, your audience, content. That's a huge one because you need to make that investment. You're doing all this cool personalization in the front end investment of it. So the strategy is driving the content, it's driving the audience segmentation, and then it's all supported based on the data. So if you don't have the right mechanisms to collect, okay, who's a prospect, who's in between becoming a prospect and a customer, and who is now officially a prospect. Like those gray areas are sometimes what trip a lot of people up, because it's, oh, well, I can't send a prospect email to this person because they're in the middle of a sales cycle, or thinking about doing a donation. Like they met with our fundraising manager and they made a huge pledge. So those are things that you need to take into account. Is the data also needs to be in the structure of strategy and the audience. And that is the funny thing, is data is like so binary. It's black and white. Yep. But reality is so gray.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I think that's another thing too. Before you decide to implement a marketing automation tool, take a lot of time to audit what you've got in your current database. And if you don't feel that you have ample information to begin to segment your audience or segment your messaging, marketing automation can help you do that too with things like progressive profiling. So, using forms or surveys in your email to gather more information that will help you get there down the line.
So another thing too I just kind of thought of is, if you have a state of a little bit of chaos and you implement this without really addressing the chaos, you're basically just automating chaos. Perpetually.
Yes.
And so when Redpath first went into marketing automation, and as we've evolved and helped other customers, it's always been, let's turn things off. And I think that was really hard, for a hard pill for us and other customers to swallow. It's like, what do you mean we're going to try off our marketing? We have to pause things? Because we need to focus on the strategy. We're not just going to perpetuate what you have right now. We're going to build a better foundation for the future.
Yes.
Sometimes it's starting from scratch, and it's okay.
Yep.
It is totally okay to do that. To limit the effect, do it in a time frame where it's not going to impact the organization. So end of fiscal year, or end of the year when you're doing kind of your end of year sales or donations, probably a bad time to do an implementation. find the seasonality in your organization, kind of where you see a little bit more of the free time happen. We're all busy, but what's going to make the least impact, and then build your strategy from there.
Yep. I think that's a great suggestion, and I would just challenge you, to shift your mindset from a short-term mindset to a longer-term mindset if you're having those qualms or those worries about pausing what you're currently doing. Because to your point, if you are able to kind of take a step back and audit what you're currently doing, make sure you've got that strategy in place, you have the data that you need, that'll set you up for success in the long term versus just continually doing what you've been doing, and not having that time to take a breather and make sure that you can actually improve.
And I would even advise some of anyone that's in the marketing and sales team, get together and not necessarily take a vacation from work, but put yourself in a conference room for a while and just have a soundboard and brainstorm a little bit, and just, okay, let's think about all the different ways that we can solve it. I mean, that's and another topic that's coming up, marketing and sales alignment, which is huge.
Nice.
Is we need to be more open with our other departments that we work with too, because the solution in itself is a marketing function, but it can do so much more than that. It can be part of your service process. It can be part of your sales process or donation process, volunteer process. I mean, it can automate a lot of your communication. If you think holistically, communication for the organization, marketing automation is central to all that.
Absolutely.
So anything else you'd like to add before we end the episode?
I think I'll just echo what we both shared, in that, nothing will solve your problems out of the box. There's no kind of silver bullet solution, and marketing automation, obviously is not a silver bullet in and of itself. But if you have that strategy, if you know why you're doing what you're doing, and fundamentally who it is that you're talking to and what they value, that's the foundation that you need. And then marketing automation is really that tool that can help you achieve your goals. So I would go into any conversation about marketing automation, or when you're potentially looking at different platforms, I would go into it with that mindset, and think about your customer or your constituent first.
That's a good way to end it.
Thanks
Again for coming on to the Redcast, Vanessa.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we catch you guys next time. Thanks again. We hope this is beneficial to you in your journey, and we hope that you got a couple tips along the way. If you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us at redpathcg.com, or tune into the video format on YouTube, or you can get the podcast version, which is on iTunes and Stitcher. We'll catch you guys next time.